Hey y'all, this is SC Southern Style here, bringing you another 1v1 StarCraft 2 match. This is one of my earlier ladder matches from Season 3. This will be a gold level match. There will be SC Southern Style, myself up in the top right, and Cuban, the red Terran, in the bottom left. This map is Xel'Naga Caverns. It's a two-player map. Since it is a two-player map, I will not be scouting my opponent's base. Both of us are going pretty standard openers here. This was my third match that I played the day Season 3 came out, so it's casting it a little bit later than whenever I played it. Gonna be sending this probe down to the Xel'Naga Watchtower to throw up a proxy pylon, since this will be a 4-gate strategy from me, as that is kind of the build that I really enjoy going. So his barracks is going to be a little bit ahead of my gateway. Not a big deal there. He's going to do a Terran wall off, so for those who are wanting to know a little bit about Terran strategy, typically this is a good strategy to use. Build the supply depot here and build your barracks here, and you eventually build another supply depot right here in this gap, especially against Zerg. See there, Cuban's throwing down the other supply depot. What this does is it makes your ramp it fortifies your ramp so much more. This will allow your units, especially for Terran, where you have Marines and Marauders that are both ranged units, are able to shoot across the supply depots and the wall, basically shoot over the wall, while Zealots or Zerglings are sitting up here trying to chop down the wall, and they're just taking a ton of damage because these supply depots and barracks are much stronger than your units. So basically you're getting free shots there. I would highly suggest, if you're going up against Zerg and your Terran, doing this. Protoss, still pretty good strategy. Like I said, the Zealots are a lot less useful that way. So I think I had myself supply blocked there for a little while. So he's going to throw down a second barracks. So it's going to be probably a fairly infantry heavy build, throwing down that second barracks, as opposed to going for a factory to a starport for either siege tanks or maybe Banshee harassment or something like that. Only one gas for Cuban right now. Myself only on one. Got that warp gate technology working right now with 2 of the gateways down. I will be chrono boosting out that warp gate technology like I do every time, making sure that I don't get supply blocked. 24 out of 26. Cuban doing pretty well on his supply. Looks like we got a third barracks going down, so this is definitely going to be a pretty heavy infantry build. Cuban's gonna go ahead and get the Marine shield out first. I would typically suggest getting Stimpak, then the concussive shells, and then combat shields if the time permits. Stimpak definitely the most useful of those 3 upgrades in my opinion. Gonna throw down a reactor here, so he's gonna be pumping out a lot of Marines from those barracks. Got 3rd gateway and 4th gateway going down, so obvious 4-gate build. Warp gate technology almost complete. Once that's done, I will be able to, and once I throw a pylon down here, I'll be able to warp units basically halfway across the map, reducing the time that they have to run from my base to his. And another thing that this probe does is it allows me to check and make sure that he's not going for any early pushes or anything like that. This probe would be able to see any of it. As you can see, so my vision, I'd be able to pretty much see anything that comes out of his base unless he skirts it along this high yield. So felt pretty safe that if he was going to push out or anything, that I would be able to see it. So I'm going to move a few units down here. I've got a Zealot, 3 Stalkers, and 2 Sentries. I definitely like to go Sentry heavy against Terran because of the Guardian Shield, as well as being able to use force fields against them. So I'm going warp in some zealots here. Economy advantage, so worker advantage in my favor. He still has not gone to that second gas and just now getting his orbital command. I would suggest for Terran players getting that orbital command as soon as possible, right as soon as the barracks finishes getting that orbital command, because those mules are just a huge boost to your economy. So we're going to warp in some more, and actually even gets the orbital just to scan. So not even using those mules, so his economy is not going to get that boost that it would from using mules, so he's going to push out with his Marines and Marauders, probably because he did not see any forces in my base. So these guys with that Marine shield, concussive slow has been researched, so these zealots are going to get slowed down. I didn't realize that I was under attack until nearly all of my zealots were killed. So this is going to be pretty difficult. Guardian Shield is going to make a huge difference until that sentry with Guardian Shield gets killed, warping in some more zealots. As you can see, this battle would have been much different had I not put the proxy pylon down, or even the probe getting in on some action, even though he gets killed. So this turns into a very dangerous situation, getting the weakened stalker out of there so he can get some more kills, and now he actually gets him cleaned up. But those stalkers very low hit points, and he could actually, if microed correctly, could have taken one or two of those zealots out with the Marauder. So neither one of us clear victor there, kind of go back to our bases. He's gonna rally up some more units. I'm going to continue to be able to warp in from here, so getting some more sentries in there for a Guardian Shield. Hopefully they get enough energy to be able to use it. One thing I'm waiting for is to expand here. One of the benefits of having the proxy pylon here was he was not really able to expand safely, because I could just move my forces around this side and come in and just snipe his mineral line. So here he goes. He's going to move out again, this time much more Marauder heavy, which I would suggest for any Terran player whenever you see that they're going stalkers. Marauders obviously deal that extra damage towards stalkers. So gonna trap a few units there, but really those force fields are actually kind of hurting me in that my zealots are not able to get in there. Guardian Shield up again, being a big help there, given essentially acting like all of my units have 2 armor against these Marines and Marauders. So another one going to come down to really close, so warping in 2 zealots there to try and push back. So get the Marine, but this zealot I think goes down, or so those 2 zealots get a couple of attacks off, and this one's going to end up going down. So, but I've got 4 stalkers now. Supply counts are even. If we go to the units counting station, pretty even. So I want to get my stalkers out of there because he's just getting free shots on the high ground. That's one thing I want to emphasize to everybody out there is do not forget that if you're on the low ground here, you cannot see the units on the high ground. They can get as many free shots off at you as they want. You cannot see them up there. So this lane right here is, I would suggest never going down it. I mean, I go down it a few times in this game, but I would suggest if you can, sweeping along this outside lane would be a much better idea. So just getting my units back up, both of us just kind of rebuilding our armies right now. My expansion has gone down, so I will be able to, I've got so much chrono boost, I need to be using that. So expansion's gone down. That's really what I'm focusing on right now, is getting that expansion up. Got warping in a few more zealots. What is he doing here? I guess he's just, he's probably scouting for a proxy pylon. He knows that I've got the proxy pylon here at the Xel'Naga watchtower. So he's looking to make sure that I don't have any in the backfield to get a flank with him. So definitely bad micro there, letting those zealots get a few extra shots off. Trying to catch a few units in this maze of force fields, but kind of even trade-off there with units. He's definitely producing a whole lot of Marines. Alright, here's one thing I want to say. He definitely sent those units. They would have been able to sneak by had I not had this watchtower. But since I had that watchtower, I was able to know that they were trying to sneak by. So I was able to catch him completely off guard and get a real good concave right here. You can see that my units have a real good position compared to his and are able to just clean up his units. So that attack was completely averted by me. So he's going to try and push up here and take out this proxy pylon, which is a good idea because he needs to take that out. He's starting to go more marine heavy. Still has not researched Stimpak yet, though. I think this game would have been a little bit different had he researched Stimpak. His units would have been able to do a lot more DPS, and he would have been able to put a lot more pain on me. So the expansion now going up. Got a few drones transferring. And so my economy should be passing his here soon. As you can see, his base is nearly mined out, so he's got way too much saturation going on here with all those SCVs. And he's actually only got 1 mining gas there and 2 mining gas there, so he's really not mining much gas. As you see, mineral income skyrocketed for me as these units start mining out of that base, so that's just going to be a huge advantage for me. Not allowing him to expand and basically starving your opponent is a really good strategy. I would suggest, if you can do it, it'll make the whole difference in the world. So here's, almost went down that deadly alleyway. So was able to correct that. I'm finally going to, so I was checking to make sure there wasn't an expansion down here because I did not want him to expand. I wanted to kind of choke him out. So what I'm going to do is try and push up his ramp, and I'm going to trap these units against the supply depot, and I'm also stopping these units from being able to attack. So these units are basically worthless back here, and able to split his army up into more manageable pieces. So now that they're back, I'm getting out of there. And these stalkers, ooh, got lucky there. If he had had his marauders right here, they would have gotten some free shots off. Those marauders have a range of 6, where the marines only have a range of 5. So marauders are able to shoot at a much longer range than the marines are. So you definitely want to put them on the edges so that they can hit. He tried to expand there so that they can hit stuff on the low ground. Trying to expand there. This was very smart for him. Saw that I had this expansion basically locked down. And here he goes trying to push down. Gonna force field the ramp, blocking off these units, so make him come down. And no, that sentry is gonna go down with base for free, and that zealot is pretty much gonna go down for free. So force fielding his ramp so they can't get back up, and nobody can come down to help. So that those units are basically just free kills. What he's gonna do is he's gonna fly this command center over here, and he's gonna make it into a planetary fortress. So very smart move there. I finally learned that those units need to come down this side of the opening. I'm going to throw down some more gateways because I'm now able to produce easily off of 4 gateways. I saw those transferring drones, and I said, or transferring SCVs, and I said, wait a second, I need to jump on these guys. He's got another base going. I need to starve him out. This was very smart by Cubit. As you can see, his planetary fortress is not built yet, so he sent his SCVs around the long way to kite my units while that planetary fortress gets completed. So this base is much harder to much easier to